In my last video, going over NRAAS story progression, I mentioned that it is not necessarily needed as an essential mod anymore for The Sims 3. Well, after making that video, I received a comment asking about how I played my game rotationally without it. So in this video, I'm going to be going over how I play my Sims 3 game rotationally without NRAAS story progression. So sit back and enjoy. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be going over how I play rotationally for The Sims 3, as you heard in the intro. So kind of how I initiate this process, I guess, if you really want to, start with initiating the process, is that I randomly will pick a family at, I guess, my will when in any sort of town. So today we're going to be using the lovely world of Starlight Shores for our example video and me going over rotational gameplay. It's not because it is my favorite world for The Sims 3, but that is besides the point. So with that being said, let's go ahead and pick a family, and my default family every single time I load up Starlight Shores is the Crash Pad. I love this household because of how, I guess, chaotic it can get, but I usually and typically start with them. Literally, it doesn't matter what world you're doing, you can start with any sort of family you want to start with. So with that being said, I'm going to real quickly load up this household and then I will see you guys right after that is done. So as you can see, the Crash Pad household is now loaded up, and we're gonna get started with this. Actually, before we get started with this, give me 1 second. I have to turn back on free will. Okay, now my Sims are free to do whatever they would like. Okay, so with that being said, let's kind of get into the gist of this video, the bread and butter, the things that you guys came here for to hear, and not me rant on about a bunch of unnecessary things. Oh, they just all reacted to that. That's funny. Alright, anyway, but how I kind of set this up is that I really do play households at random. So I will go around the neighborhood and select a random household and play with them for about 3 sim days. And what that means is I go from Sunday, when you start up a household in The Sims 3 by default, and I go all the way till Tuesday. Why I do this? I don't know. Realistically, I do this just so that it's only 3 days that I'm spending with each family, and I'm getting to know them within those 3 days without missing any, key information. And then after that, typically how I like to go around is that I will just automatically jump from, whoa. Okay, well, it's not like I'm recording a video or anything, guys, just have at it. Anyway, how I will do right after is that I will move over to the household next door, or the closest household to the base household that I am starting from, if that makes any sense. And it's kind of one of those things that I believe that this order for me is probably the best and how I go about it. Starlight Shores is a bigger world, so there's a lot of families in it, just like Sunset Valley, just like, I want to say Moonlight Falls is another big world, but I love going through Moonlight Falls. But that's another video again for another day. This is just me explaining the general gist of, how my rotations are kind of played and whatnot. So another thing that NRAAS story progression had that I'm not currently using is the cast systems. So like I said, I don't have story progression installed in my game anymore. It has helped with a lot of different things, but lag being one of them. So a key kind of feature of story progression was the cast systems. You could set up a cast system where you could put households basically in this stasis where they weren't progressing in anything until you got back. Typically I was fine with that for a little bit, but then I was like, I don't like this, because then this just feels like they're not aging. With my other Sims, I have to go back in and play with them to age for these days. Some of the other things was like pregnancy complications, so I would have Sims who were pregnant and then they would lose a pregnancy in that cast system. I believe you could set it up to where they weren't, but I always had issues with that. So I was like, I really don't like playing with cast systems. So it was one of those things that I just kind of found my own way around it. And like I said, that is me just kind of letting Sims have their lives without me directly interfering every single time. And that has helped me a lot because I'm getting so many different random things happening in my game behind the scenes. As you can see, Mimi and Rich over, or Richter, Richer, I don't know. Anyway, but they are now romantically involved for some reason, and they did that all on their own. So I would have this happen in unison, like, you know, while I'm playing a different household. That could be happening behind the scenes. So then when I got over here, I would be absolutely shocked to see that these two are becoming, or getting close to becoming, a couple. So that's always something that, you know, I love to see and whatnot. So in addition to me kind of talking and discussing about story progression, there are 3 essential mods that I would definitely recommend, you know, using, you know, over in NRAAS story progression, that still give you, you know, those elemental fills of story progression, but, you know, they're their own separate things, and, you know, you choose to, you know, play with them how you would like. So the first one I'm going to kind of talk about a little bit is deeper conversations. So for example, here we'll take little Williard here and have him talk with Becky here, and sometimes, not all the time, will you be able to get deeper interactions or deeper conversation interactions to come up here in this window. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But a good thing I like to do is just have my Sims socialize, and sometimes these pop-ups that you'll get for deeper conversation. Let me just do socialize and friendly. Anyway, some of these interactions that you'll get, you know, in deeper conversations will help progress the relationship that your sim or Sims are having with other Sims in the world. So like I said, you'll get little pop-ups up here, which I believe there was one up here concerning the conversation with Mimi. But yes, once you get those, you get an option to choose, you know, how the conversation will go. Whether that is negative or positive, that is completely your choice. You do not have to sit there and say like, oh, my sim has to be friendly with everyone. Sometimes that doesn't help. Sometimes you'll get a thing where it'll be 2 negative interactions and you kind of have to pick from those. So it just allows for relationships to be a little bit more realistic, that not everyone in my game is getting completely along with one another. So as you can see here, like I said, here's a little window right here showing me, you know, a deeper conversations interaction. So I would hit respond, and then I would pick, you know, from this, you know, conversation piece right here, I would pick, you know, either tired or hilarious conversation, and I would probably pick hilarious conversation. So as you can see, it is a positive interaction. If I would have picked tired, it would have been a negative interaction. So that is something to kind of keen in and hone in on those story progression kind of, you know, attributes without it being truly story progression. So the next mod I kind of want to talk about that kind of helps with story progression is like lot populations by Lazy Duchess, which that mod is good. It is good because it does something that The Sims 3 lacks, but I think the reason why The Sims 3 lacks it is because of optimization at the time. But basically this mod by Lazy Duchess allows lots to be like heavily populated now, depending on which one you go to. So something you can see, or something I've always realized with The Sims 3, is you can realize how many Sims are at a lot based off of like the little shadows. So this is the park. Like I said, Starlight Shores is a big world, so I don't imagine that every single lot will be filled and populated, but as you can see, you see kind of Sims moving around more in the world. It's not just, you know, one sim at a lot, it'll be like multiple Sims at a lot. So we have some Sims right here golfing, we had a sim running the trail, we had Sims getting in the car. It's just a lot of population all over your world. Sims are never sitting and, you know, not doing anything. You'll see more cars moving around the world. You'll see more Sims moving on the sidewalks, going to and from different lots in the world. This just adds the layer of, okay, my Sims are the Sims that I'm playing with in this world are actually having a life besides just me doing everything for them or forcing them to go to these lots. They'll go to lots on their own if they, you know, please to. But other than that, you know, I won't have to force them to go to lots. So that's a good mod I would definitely highlight and would say that you need in your game to really help with story progression. The final mod I want to talk about or highlight to help with story progression is Similar 90s mod. So this mod is just a bunch of like hot fixes for The Sims 3. It is a mod that I would definitely recommend. I did not realize that I did not have it installed the last time that I recorded, so I went and installed it because there was a bunch of comments or just comments about it that, you know, it's a good mod to help with story progression if you are not using NRAAS story progression. So I do recommend that because there is actually a built-in fix with, you know, story progression with Similar 90s mod, so it helps with, you know, the progression of the game going, you know, about how it is. Now, a disclaimer, you cannot have NRAAS story progression and Similar 90s mod installed at the exact same time, because Similar 90s mod helps the story progression. NRAAS story progression helps the story progression. So you have to really choose which one you want in your game and which one, you know, you would like. Similar 90s mod improves the EA story progression that comes with the base game, or, you know, the game in general. And, you know, obviously NRAAS story progression is the one that everyone has used at one point or another playing their Sims 3 game, and it's a good mod to use, you know, if you would like to micromanage everything that's going on in your Sims lives, Sims worlds, whatever else. But if you're someone like me who just doesn't care about that anymore, then I would definitely recommend Similar 90s mod and letting the game use its default story progression but with improvements. But with that being said, those are the 3 essential mods I would recommend to help improve story progression for The Sims 3. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this little kind of run through of how I play my game rotationally, along with the mods that I mentioned, and I do highly recommend it if you do not use NRAAS story progression. But with that being said, that is kind of all for now. I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye for now, and have a great day.